Welcome back to another episode of the Pink Juice podcast. I can't believe that in the space of 3 weeks, I've managed to do 10 episodes in 3 weeks. And in today's episode, I really want to just talk about kind of the dynamic that I feel like I'm currently in, where I'm single, I'm 28, I'm loving my single life, I'm loving living by myself, and I'm loving the single era, but I would be absolutely lying if there was not times where I do feel a little bit lonely and I do crave connection. So I really want to just talk about that because I know I am not the only one feeling this way, and I know that I'm such a firm believer in always saying that like two things can coexist at the same time. You can be happily single and living your best life, but you can also acknowledge that there are times that you desire a partner and crave connection. And I want to be real with you because this week I feel like the loneliness, I wouldn't say slapped me right in the face, but it's definitely something I have felt a little bit. So yeah, I want to be real, and I just want to be raw. I want to be authentic and just tell you a little bit about how I've been feeling this week, because I've been such a social butterfly, loving my life. But there's definitely nuggets of time where I'm just like, damn, I wish I just had a man. But yeah, the era that I'm in right now, I'm 28, I'm single, I'm building my business, I'm building my wealth, I'm having a great social life, lots of friends, lots of dating. I'm doing a lot of hobbies, I'm playing so much paddle, I'm looking after my health, my well-being, my health, my well-being. And I'm just loving this era that I'm in. But I do sometimes think, damn, I feel a little bit lonely, you know? I wouldn't even say lonely. I think it's more that like I crave some sort of connection. It's not like loneliness as such, but just more like, okay, I could do with like connection for like an hour or two, and then I can go back to my single bubble. And I think we need to, in society, normalize that feeling that two things can coexist at the same time. And I'm such a firm believer of that. And I don't think enough people speak about that. I think society tells us that if you're feeling lonely, that is your only state, that you're a lonely, miserable, single woman, and that is you. And you're going to feel that way until you find a partner. And then there's the other angle of it where, okay, you're living, you're thriving, and you're thriving and you're so independent that you're almost not made to be with a partner, and like you're too independent that you're not going to be able to find a partner. And I feel like we need to just acknowledge that like two things can coexist at once, and you can have two things. So the reason that I wanted to record this episode today is because I guess yeah, that's been me this week. I've been such a social butterfly. I've had such a great time, but I found myself doing certain things and like to get connection from other people, which sounds kind of awful, but we all do it as humans, and I don't want to put shame on me, on me or anyone that might also be doing this and feeling this way. But I just want to be real, because we need more people talking about this, the things that people are doing, that we all are doing as people, and not put shame on it, because we're all freaking human beings at the end of the day. So sometimes I feel like the only time that I recently have been feeling like emotionally lonely is when I'm physically alone. And right now I have a lot going on. Like I have a lot of work stuff, life stuff. And when I'm alone, I feel like I have to face those responsibilities. And I think this is one of the reasons why I've been so consumed with paddle recently. If I go to play a paddle tournament or play a match, I literally stay at the court for like literally 6 hours. It takes up most of my day. I just chat to people, I have a good time, I play, and it's because I don't feel like an adult there. And I feel like, okay, if I'm around people doing things, my brain is distracted. I'm kind of running away from the responsibilities of being an adult. I'm then having to think about this podcast. Actually, for me, coming here and talking is the easiest part about this podcast, but the uploading, everything like that, that is the hardest part for me to navigate, because I just am not a techie person at all, and just that sort of admin when there's like a lot of things that you have to do and you've never done it, that overwhelms me so much. Whereas coming into the studio and just talking is like, yeah, I can do that. So that for me is like the easiest part. And then I'm also going through a rebrand for Females Fine Solo. I decided yesterday that I'm going to fucking do a Black Friday sale. So that's great. Been planning that really behind the scenes. And yes, there's just a lot on my mind. So when I'm on my own, I feel like I have a lot of these things that my mind is occupied with. And I don't necessarily feel like I have anyone to share that load of life with. And I think that's where my loneliness comes from, and that's where I crave connection. And it's when I'm alone in my apartment right now. And it's weird because I go through phases where I love just walking into my place, closing the door completely, and just being on my own, turning on the TV, just doing my own things, journaling, reading, listening to music, dancing. I love dancing around the house when I'm on my own, and just doing those things like that. But because my brain right now is clouded with a lot of the other things, I'm struggling to share the load of that. So yeah, right now my brain feels very, very clouded with a lot of things. And when I'm at home, when I'm on my own, that is when I crave connection. And I would love to I feel like as a woman right now, that's another thing that I'm really struggling with as well, is like, I love being the independent version of me, but I also I would love to be, when I come home, like have a partner that I can just soften into and just be like, okay, this is like my safe space. I don't need to think about the adult life responsibilities. I can just be soft. But I don't get that time to tap into that at the moment because I'm just so busy with other things, and it's making me crave connection, and as a result I am feeling a little bit lonely. And that's where I'm at, to be honest with you, and I can't be the only one feeling this way. And I think this is a difficult situation that a lot of women are in right now, right? Because they are doing a lot, they are holding a lot, right? When I think like maybe 40, 50 years ago, when women didn't have the right to work, they did a lot, as in they looked after the children, they kept the house going, maybe they weren't working as much or doing the like admin side of things, and maybe that was taken care of by the man. Whereas nowadays women are doing a lot. We're doing a fucking lot. And it's kind of a blessing and a curse, because I feel like I'm surviving and I'm holding myself up, and sometimes I just want a man to just like scoop me up and just be like, don't worry babe, I've got you, you know. And we're expected to be everything. We're expected to be ambitious, confident, organized, stable, but also romantic, soft, feminine. And it's really hard to find the balance, and I'm really navigating between that. And I think a lot of people think that just because I am a lot of those things, that I don't want that closeness or that softness, but I am still craving that romantic side of things, and just like a connection with someone who can also help my brain escape from the reality. And yeah, sometimes I do just feel like that mental load of life gets so heavy. And yes, I can share it with friends. Don't get me wrong. I'm very blessed to have an incredible support system and circle of friends. But it's just romantic relationships are so different. And I just feel like there's certain things that we get as women, as people, as human beings from romantic relationships that we can't get from family, that we can't get from friends. And yeah, I don't think the loneliness necessarily comes from not being on my own all day, because I don't spend the whole day on my own. I spend most of my day with a lot of people, but it's when I come home and I want to just be able to share that and just release a little bit onto someone else. That sounds awful, release onto someone else, does it? I don't know, but just to share that load of life with, right? And what's hard is right now a lot of the connections I'm having is they're helping with that loneliness a little bit. Like I have multiple connections at the moment with multiple people, but come on, I'm in my dating era. Let me just enjoy. And I find myself doing certain things, gravitating to certain people, saying certain things, because I miss how that can, because of that feeling that connection makes me feel. It's not necessarily the person, it's the connection that's making me feel a certain way. So I'm finding myself that I'm doing certain things in those connections that it's almost like I say micro moments, and I'm becoming very aware of them, and I'm trying to also not attach an outcome to what's going to happen. I think sometimes when I'm experiencing a certain connection with someone and it starts to make me anxious, or there is an outcome at the end, then that's when I know it's starting to become unhealthy and I need to cut it short. But if it's just me, if there's no outcome attached to it and I'm just kind of in the moment, it's happening, I think I almost surrender a little bit, and that is the kind of point. But yeah, there is a little bit of like micro moments and micro connections that I'm having, and it's making me realize like I'm not actually attracted or attached to a lot of the men and connections that I have right now, but it's certain things that they do, but certain things that I do, and then the response that I get, that is what's almost like giving me the validation. And hey, I'm so nervous sharing this because I feel like so many people don't talk about these things, but I can guarantee that so many women experience this, and probably men as well. And actually, like, we need to stop shaming ourselves for feeling this way, because I shame myself a lot for feeling this way. We're actually like, we're just human beings. We're just human beings, you know? But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I'll find myself like replying to someone's story just because I want the attention from them, or I want to spark a conversation with them because I know that they'll say things that will make me feel good. And that in itself is kind of problematic, because what am I then not giving myself that I'm looking for to getting from that person? But also, in a way, me giving myself certain things is also not the same as getting those things from romantic connections. Like, I don't know how to describe it. It's just closeness and connection from other people. And I don't think some things you just can't give yourself. And in those tiny moments, I kind of feel seen and I kind of feel a little bit held. But then I just remind myself, like, they're just giving me a breadcrumb and it's not real. It's almost like it's staged. I don't know. Wait, that's just come out really weirdly. It's almost like it's staged, but why? I don't know. But yeah, and then also it's just like certain connections is almost like that feeling of being desired. I can't actually believe that I'm talking about these things because they feel so raw and vulnerable. But yeah, it's just that feeling of like, okay, well, I'm going to speak to this person because I know that the way they respond or what they will say will make me feel like I'm wanted. And maybe I'm struggling in areas of my life where I'm not feeling that wanted, but like, oh God, can't wrap my head around this. But ultimately what I'm trying to say is that these connections, it's not because I want the person genuinely, it's because I want the feeling that connection or the dopamine hit of something that they do, of what it gives me. Sorry, but I'm just saying things that half the fucking world is experiencing, let's be honest. Yeah, and I think I'm just craving a lot of these connections right now because life is feeling quite heavy, and as a woman, I feel like I'm holding so much, and I just want someone to like hold me, to tell me it's going to be okay. I've got you. I'm going to look after you. And you can't give yourself that feeling. You just can't. Like, I no matter what other people say, you can't. That does come from, there is a different kind of emotion that comes when a romantic partner or a romantic connection is giving you that feeling, like friends can't even give you that type of feeling. Yes, they can be there to help you, support you, be your hype people, but ultimately I do think there is such a big difference of getting that sort of feeling from a romantic connection. And okay, what are actually the micro moments? Okay, micro moments is speaking to people on Hinge and continuing to speak to them if I'm not really intending to meet up with them. Now, this sounds so savage, but sometimes a conversation will be a good conversation, but I know that that person isn't making initiative to meet up with me. And sometimes when I'm in a good space, I'm kind of like, well, where is this going? Are we going to meet up or not? But sometimes I kind of feel like here, especially here, right? Because I'm currently in Thailand, in Chiang Mai, right? And you get a lot of people that are travelers, that are backpackers. Like, I sometimes just know if someone's passing by, they're not going to either have the time to meet up with me, or I won't have the time to meet up with them, or because they're going to be here for a few days. But if the conversation is flowing and actually it's making me feel a little bit good, maybe I'll continue speaking to them for a couple of days. Or I'm not going to lie, I have definitely posted stories just so someone, Instagram stories, just so someone replies to them. And you know what? It's so mad because 9 out of 10 times, I know for a fact the connections that are going to reply to the stories. Like, I just know. So sometimes I'll just post a story because I know that the connection is going to, it's almost like I'm playing a game with myself. And then if they don't reply, I'm almost like analyzing, like, why are they not replying? Wait, am I crazy for admitting this? Like, that just seems so wild. I need to know how many women do this. I need to know how many men also do this. But also, I'm sick of men being like, there's some men as well that like just slide into those DMs with a little cheeky little message, and then they never follow through, or they never intend to take you out. And I'm just like, what are you playing at? What game are you playing at? Stop sliding into my DMs thinking it's bants and actually follow through and take me out on a date. But yeah, I think it just gives me that feeling of like being seen, being heard, being noticed, which is not what I'm getting with, which is kind of not what I'm getting where I'm coming home and like my load, my mental load is just there. It's not switching off. And I'm so scared to talk about this. I'm so scared admitting this because not many people admit this. Not many people admit things like that. And I feel like as human, we act like we're way too above doing things like that, or we're like too healed or too spiritual or whatever. And like, the truth is no one is above anything. Like, we all have these little things that we do. And for you, it might be something else. But yeah, we're not above it. We all freaking do it. We even probably healthy relationships do it to some extent throughout the time, you know? But it is just a basic human need. And it's crazy because the world is so digital now. I just wonder how people that didn't have internet, where did they get their dopamine hits from? Like, if they just wanted to feel loved or validated or wanted, where did people go before the internet? They just go to a bar? I don't know. That's so interesting. Like, what did people do? And if I'm being honest, those micro moments, it's like I'm almost generating my own crumbs. You know, like, they don't give no one gives me a loaf. No one's giving me the loaf right now. The only person giving me the loaf right now is me, and it's the most incredible freshly baked sourdough loaf there is. And all these other connections are giving me tiny crumb, but I'm also like addicted to the crumbs and asking for these crumbs. No one's giving me the loaf. And these crumbs are keeping me starving. I need to eat a freaking decent meal. No, I don't. But yeah, and I feel like this is what makes us want those crumbs, right? Because living alone is a blessing and a curse. Like I say, sometimes when the mental load, when I'm feeling productive, when I've done the work, when I've shown up for myself, and I walk through my door, close the door, and do my journaling, do whatever, I feel like oh, incredible. I don't even ever want that attention because I've given myself so much of it, and also the mental load is less. But it's those days and those moments and those months where the mental load is a lot, and I'm just craving that connection. Or I might just literally message someone randomly and just to spark a conversation. But I don't offload about the problem either. That's the thing. So it doesn't even help me. So the things that I'm experiencing, I don't talk about that. I don't offload that. I talk about completely other things, which is just distracting because, again, it's wanting to offload about that specific thing, but not wanting to be vulnerable enough to offload about that, offloading or chatting about other things, a small talk, just to get a little bit of hit of validation. It's just such a negative, toxic cycle. And I literally, this is why I don't think this podcast will ever be like too much of an advice, because that's not what it's about. Like, I just want to come and share the realities of what it's like to be a freaking woman. And this is one of them, you know? Yeah. And I don't actually have a solution to this yet right now. So if anyone's listening to this right now and you want to give me some advice, please do message me on @pinkjuicepod, because I would love some advice on how to deal with this. But for me, step one is not about even getting advice or doing the thing that's going to break this cycle of this habit, but it's about being aware and naming this. And I guess this podcast is kind of helping me in a way, and I hope it's helping other people that are listening too, just realizing like, you're not crazy, you're not a psycho, you're not alone, you're just a human being that's managing a lot, doing a lot, and that's okay if you want to be held. You will be one day. Okay, and something that I have been thinking about is, does loneliness make you compromise your standards? And I'm going to honestly say big fat yes. I think it does. I think when you have those moments of feeling a little bit lonely, craving connection, you take what you can get, even though you know that you deserve more. However, do I necessarily think that it's a bad thing? I think if you're attaching an outcome to it, then yes, it is potentially a bad thing, or if it's making you anxious. However, if you are aware of, okay, I'm compromising my standard, I'm just going to go with this, see how it feels, see where it goes, then actually maybe it's not even that bad, because what if actually that does end up leading to a lesson or an experience or something, or just having a good time with that person, then maybe it's actually not that bad of a thing, you know? Maybe it's not. But yeah, it definitely does make you compromise standards. I'm trying to think what I've done recently. I've definitely said dates to guys recently, or just going for a drink with a guy, because I've just been wanting to get out of my house and just have a drink and just not think about my adult life. Even though I know that on a 100% good day, I would not even be entertaining the man. But I feel so bad saying this. But like, we do it. We all freaking do it. And I've actually ended up having a good time as well. Like, I've actually ended up having a nice time. It's been having a laugh, having a fun time, learning something from that person. So it's not all doom and gloom, you know? But I've definitely compromised my standards, as in going out with someone who I know deep down is not aligned with me or doesn't feel aligned with me. But also, I feel like on the other hand, it gives you an opportunity to give people a chance that you may not otherwise give if your standards are seen as too high. But I've definitely done that recently. But yeah, what is this loneliness teaching me? And this is the self-awareness that I'm trying to learn. So something that it's teaching me is I have some unmet needs somewhere. I don't know how to meet them yet. And I think the reason I don't know how to meet them is because I'm so busy and I'm creating so much chaos and problems for myself. I don't know how to meet them. So it's definitely showing me that. I'm also treating it as data. This is my thing. Emotions are just data. Everything is just data. Dating is just data. And that's what I'm trying to remind myself about everything. Like, it is just data. Although not doing it in such like a dickhead way where I'm not acknowledging other person's feelings, but I'm trying to just be self-aware and think about it that way. Actually, this loneliness is also kind of forcing me to slow down and think about it, because I wouldn't be sat here recording this podcast episode if I wasn't. So it's definitely teaching me about that. I think this loneliness is also trying to highlight to me that, like, I just need to slow down, like, just have a minute. But it's hard. It's like coming up to the end of the year, the rush is on, big things are coming, I've got a lot to do. So it's like I don't have the time to slow down. So for me, my brain is like, okay, but if you're not going to slow down, you may as well keep going faster. So that's what I'm doing. And what am I doing to help myself throughout this moment? I'm going to be honest, not a lot. I'm trying to move my body for sure. I'm still trying to show up to paddle, be around friends. I'm trying to go to the gym. I'm telling my friends about this, that I'm experiencing this. And they're giving me a lot of like, just, it's okay, don't worry. Like, just enjoy it for what it is at the moment. And I'm trying to do that. And I'm definitely, by the way, I'm not being a dick to people and to my connections. Like, I'm just speaking about this experience. Like, I'm not a mean person. I'm not playing games or anything with these people. I'm just, this is just what I'm experiencing at the moment. I'm not being like horrible. And I'm also just trying to sleep better. So I'm trying to get to sleep a little bit earlier than usual to try and get like a full night's sleep. And that's the bare minimum I feel like that I'm doing at the moment. I'm not doing a lot. I actually have been I went on a little solo date on Friday to have a glass of Prosecco and some roti. So I did do that. That did help me. Although I did find myself going on to Hinge as I was on the solo date. And actually, really funny story. So I matched with this guy on Hinge. And as I was sat in this tiny little square drinking my glass of Prosecco. I matched with this guy. And I mustn't have clocked, but then I was catching eyes with this guy that was like walking past, and he was like on his own, and then he sat down like in the square, like in front of me, and I could see myself catching eyes with him, but I didn't put two and two together. And then I left. I went and had my roti, and then this guy messaged me like, did I just see you at the market having a drink? And I was just like, double check this profile, and I was like, oh my God, that's the guy. I don't know why I didn't make that connection. I think I must have just been distracted. But then I messaged him, I was like, well, if you knew that was me, why didn't you come over and say hi? And he was like, oh yeah, I wasn't sure. And I was like, well, you must have been, because then you messaged me saying that. But anyway, so yeah, that's a funny story. I went on a little solo date, and then that happened, and that was funny. And I was going to meet up with him again, but it just didn't happen. Didn't have the time. But yeah. So that's that. To finish the podcast on a funny story. And I also just want to remind women, if you are experiencing this, or men, that just try and take the shame away from it, because we're all human beings. We're all doing the best that we can. And, at the end of the day, just try and have awareness around why you're doing it, what it is you're doing. Try and spot your patterns, because you have to be able to spot them in order to break them first, right? So you never know. Maybe next week or in a few weeks' time, I'll do a follow-up episode on how I've broke these habits and what I've done to self-soothe and regulate more. But two things can coexist. You can be happily single and also be lonely and also crave connection. We are allowed to desire connection. We're all human beings. We're social creatures at the end of the day. Craving connection is not a weakness. It is something that is innate in all of us. And loneliness is very much a experience of the human journey. So what is something I have recently been doing to fill my own cup? You know what? I don't want to say this. My instant brain would be like, oh, I've been being naughty, eating too much dessert, but I'm not going to say this. However, I've been giving myself permission to enjoy dessert That is one way I have been self-soothing, because I've been on a bit of a journey with like my food and stuff in the past year, and I've just been giving myself permission to just eat the fucking cake, you know, eat the fucking dessert. And that is one way that I have been filling my own cup. So yeah, to finish the episode, what is one thing that you have been doing to fill your own cup? Is giving myself permission to eat the fucking cake when I want, and enjoying it without guilt. And it's such a good feeling. So yeah, thank you for tuning into this week's episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Please give me a like, follow, subscribe so I can create more chaotic content like this. And I'll see you in the next episode.